I'm here today to talk to Lyndsey West, who is the MD of KPH. KPH do a lot of stuff. You don't just do deconstruction
No,
anymore,
we don't.
do
Not
you?
anymore, no.
No. But we're here to talk about deconstruction today. I would bet that 20 years ago, your company would have been a very different animal from what it is now. If you were stripping out a building like this, you would basically almost arrive with a JCB, tear the whole thing apart, throw it in the skip, and we'd end up in the ground.
It's exactly that, yeah.
You have made fairly major moves to make that not happen anymore.
Yeah. Now we look at buildings completely differently. We look around, we see what we've got, what has value, and what can be reused, how can we get it back into circulation, back into the industry. And we really do approach it with a different set of eyes.
Demolition contractors used to just be like big blokes who just used to tear things apart with big axes. To get them from that to the person that talks around about how can we reuse these ceiling tiles, it's a massive cultural change.
It is a huge cultural shift. And the way that we probably went about it, we did go about it, was actually bringing them along the journey with us. It doesn't make sense for me to come in and say, right, we're going to change how you've worked for the last 15, 20 years, and now we're going to do it this way, without actually explaining why we're doing it. And I'm really kind of, being clear what we expect and why we expect it, and why it will benefit us as a business and being able to move forward together. I was really surprised how they kind of came along on the journey with us, and actually a lot of them were part of some of the innovations that we ended up creating along the way.
They're very different from people who are working in a supermarket being paid minimum wage and basically being treated like rubbish.
Yeah.
They have a completely different face on them.
Yeah.
It's
a nice place to be, and everyone's kind of got a bit of a smile on their face. Yeah. And that's what happens when you make people part of your team. It isn't just about delivering on program, delivering on cost. It's, how can we support them?
By the way, I've just noticed we're standing in front of the talk and listen corner, which actually was not intended at all, but you would never see that in a merchant bank, and I bet you wouldn't see it in Deliveroo either.
No, I very much doubt that you would, but it's really important to us,
So
we heard.
All of this stuff's going to go, yeah?
Yeah. This is the frustration we have. So these particular rectangular tiles, they're bespoke, they're not standard size. I can tell just from looking at it. So that means that if I sent it back to the manufacturer, they're less likely to want it because it's bespoke. So unless somebody else specs them in the future, they don't have a reusability. It's really about like that conversation, like I was saying, like that joined up conversation between all of us, and architects, manufacturers have the biggest part, like a big part to play.
The architects don't know very, very simple things like that. And they, they'll probably specify those petitions in such a way that actually they're one-offs and you suddenly can't use them all over again.
We're having conversations now that we wish we was having 10, 15 years ago. So as long as we don't make the same mistakes now, so we're not having those conversations in 10 years' time, we learn our lessons, right?
Yeah, I understand.
And that's kind of what we need to be affecting that change now.
Okay, so the glass petitions, they've got manifestation, which means that you can't reuse the glass in one piece. So
unless they want that specific.
Unless they specifically want those dots in exactly the same place, which of course they won't.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, it's then got to get broken up. So tell me what happens now. We've seen the glass get smashed up. It comes over here, it gets put in bags, and then it goes back to Saint-Gobain.
Absolutely, yeah. You're not mining the sand that you need to mine, essentially. You're taking the cullet back and you're making it back into glass. So for every tonne of cullet that we send back, you're saving 1.2 tonnes of virgin raw material. It couldn't be a more kind of success story, if you like, in terms of preventing, the depletion of our natural resources.
Did you come up with all this? Did you?
No, I'm not taking the credit for it. I started the conversation with Richard Cathcart from Saint-Gobain. I know that he had been trying for some time to get the Glass Forever scheme off the ground. It's been going for some time, but it wasn't with enough momentum in terms of what he was looking for. And he was really focusing more on kind of construction projects. So
So the outside glass.
Exactly that. So exterior glass, that essentially you probably got a building, you're going to knock it down, or you're going to really kind of take the building apart. So exterior glass, more related to demolition projects, essentially. And we all know with demolition projects, essentially the way they're undertaken is it's usually a top-down approach and everything kind of mixed in together and taken off site. So it wasn't quite working. The cullet needs to be relatively clean when you're sending it back. So it's getting a lot of debris and a lot of things mixed in with it, which ultimately impacts their furnaces. So when we originally spoke, I'd said to him, why are you not looking at refurbishment and soft strip projects? Why are you focusing on that glass? Or should we just focus on internal partitions? We have so many of them. It's one of the, the bigger kind of items that we come across our project. And I said, come down, have a look, come and watch the way that our guys are and girls are breaking up glass, and tell us what you think, and tell us whether that's going to work. And literally that was how the story started. We did the first kind of trial on that site. The site manager on that site eventually went on to train and coach my other site managers on how it should be done effectively to ensure that they got clean glass sent back. And now we're kind of 2.5 years later, and I think we've sent somewhere in the region of 900 tons of glass. For me, it's just a really kind of powerful story around kind of collaboration.
This is better than throwing it away, but not as good as a partition which you could reuse.
Absolutely. So this is kind of closed loop recycling, essentially. This is, you're taking an item, you are recycling it, but it's going to get made back into what it was previously. I think there's a lot of lessons we can learn along the way. And actually, even just from doing this, this has been this scheme and working with Richard and pioneering it from a soft strip perspective, although like I said, it was already in operation, but we really took it to that next level. And he said to me, like, can I share this with other people in the industry? And I was like, go for it.
We don't want to keep.
Yeah, we're not going to gatekeep this. This is what this is all about. But I think doing things like this, it now allows us to go, okay, well, what's next? What can we do next? And yeah, we've got some exciting things coming in 2026, which will be some additional partnerships, which we really want to change the way that other materials within soft strip refurbishment projects are viewed, and how we can improve the way that they're kind of recycled or repurposed.
Walking around this site with you is very interesting, because actually it is a deconstruction site, but actually at least half of the conversation today has actually been about people.
I want my teams to embrace that change, and change is difficult. A lot of people resist it, right?
Yes.
And we need them to come on that journey with us. I cannot do what I'm doing without them. They are the business.
Yeah.
My site teams, my managers, all of them, they make it happen. I can't do it without them. So the fact that they've come on the journey with us and that they're embracing it and they're not resisting is fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely a people story. Lyndsey, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.